It's another edition of Thai Cuisine. Today we are at Skylark's in Fairhaven, and we're here with head chef Don White. And Don, what are you cooking up for us today?
Well, Ty, today we're going to make our Pesto Prawn Linguini. And we're going to start with a little compound butter. This is a mixture of fresh dairy butter. We have chopped garlic in there, salt and pepper, some citrus, just a few things to add some seasoning to the prawns.
This is really a favorite dish too, isn't it?
It is. It's really quite popular. It's nice. It goes on hits on all the basics. People enjoy the pesto. It's a nice rich cream sauce. Quite popular. So we're probably putting in, I don't know, 2 to 3 tablespoons of this seasoned butter. We'll get that softened up.
You really enjoy making pasta dishes?
Yeah, I do. I think that people enjoy them, and they just come out so nice, and we can always guarantee the consistency. If we get into some of the fancier stuff like you see on the Food Channel, cook's having a bad day, it may not be as nice as the Food Channel.
Right.
So we try to stick with the basics and do a good job with them, and we don't disappoint anybody that way.
Any special prawns we've got here?
What we have is a black tiger prawn. We use a larger size. People like that.
Do some prawns taste different than others?
There's different styles. There's a white prawn and a black prawn. I think the most flavorful, or the better ones, tend to be the black prawns that we use. Some of them, there's a lot of different varieties, but for all intents and purposes, and to try and keep our menu affordable, we try not to get into anything that's too exotic. Now what I'm doing here is really just starting to cook the prawns down and get them a good start in the butter, and trying to extract some of their, the brine that's in the fish. We'll just get them cooked most of the way down, and then we're going to pull them out and deglaze the pan with a little bit of white wine, and then we'll do a reduction with the cream. So we have to get those prawns out of there after they're most of the way cooked so that they don't end up, getting tough. And I'm just going to pull these guys out before they're overdone.
And how long do you cook those for?
Oh my goodness, a minute or two.
Yeah.
You really are just kind of watching to see as they start to lose their translucency, and they get the color and they'll start to curl around.
And so now you're adding some wine.
Yeah, probably a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup. We're just going to cook off the alcohol. Get that back up to a good boil. It deglazes the pan. It gets whatever oils or the little bits of the fish and the stock, sort of, if you will, gets it loosened up in the pan. Now, what I'm going to add next is our homemade pesto. We do this here. It's pine nuts, fresh basil, garlic, olive oil, sea salt.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just a real classic pesto, and I'm going to add a good portion of this. Plenty to give it a nice robust flavor. And I have to quickly add this cream before I...
Is there really a fine line with pesto? So it's not too overpowering?
It can be. What you have to do with pesto, and I think with a lot of, the classic sauces, is to actually taste as you go.
Right.
Because every batch of basil, every bulb of garlic tastes different depending on the growing season and the conditions. And so sometimes basil can be almost a little bitter, sometimes it's really sweet and bland. And so as you're making something like a pesto, if you want it to be nice, you just kind of have to use your palate. You have to taste it as you go and adjust things. So we try to be as consistent as possible, and that just means paying attention. We also try to do the pesto in larger batches so that way we're not changing things too often. At this point now, all we're doing is reducing the sauce, trying to get some of the water out of the cream so that we get the thickness that we want. And then we'll add the prawns back in and warm them back up, and we'll be good to go. We're getting pretty close. You can see how it's starting to boil all the way across. I'm going to get our linguine into the hot water. That'll help to rinse off the oil. We have a little olive oil on it to keep the noodles from sticking together.
Now, the one thing I do at home is boil noodles from time to time.
Do you? Well, that's very good.
What makes for the perfect pasta? Is there a secret to making or boiling pasta so it tastes optimum?
Probably just being sure that you start with a good product to begin with, a good quality noodle, and then being sure that your water is really, really hot. I'd recommend not adding any oil to your water while you're boiling, and just stay on top of it and give them a stir occasionally. I think we're about done here, and we'll just get rid of that extra water. Trying to make it look nice for you, Ty. Get those spread out. I'm just going to cheat and use my spatula a little bit. Get the last of that sauce in there. Tuck a little pasta. Don't mind my fingers. I washed my hands. Slip that in there like that. Give it a little ruffle. We'll give you some color there on the side. Just a pinch of Parmesan. Maybe a sprig of fresh parsley for a little contrast. And
now for the best part of my job, always getting to sample the finished product.
Excellent.
Let me try this. Terrific. Until next time, we'll see you on Ty's Cuisine.